All right, let's talk about something that sooner or later touches every single one of us: solo aging. And hey, this isn't going to be a downer, I promise. It's actually a really empowering call to action about designing the future you want, completely on your own terms.
Just take a second and really think about this. You might be surrounded by family today thinking, oh, that's not me. But life happens. It can change in a heartbeat. This is a question we all need to ask ourselves, because getting ahead of it, well, it's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and, honestly, the people you care about too.
Okay, so here's the game plan for our explainer. First, we're going to talk about what solo ager even means. Then we'll dive into why a plan is just non-negotiable. After that, we'll get into the good stuff, how to build your own personal village and design your future. And finally, we'll talk about how this whole journey can start today.
So let's kick things off with the words we use, because this is so important. This isn't about what's missing in your life. It's about stepping into a new reality with a sense of strength and, independence.
Language is incredibly powerful. The term elder orphan, gosh, it's just heartbreaking, isn't it? It sounds so lonely, so helpless. But solo ager, a term coined by Dr. Sarah Zeff Geber, feels totally different. It's proactive. It's an empowered identity that people are actually proudly starting to claim. It says, I'm doing this my way and I've got this.
So what does it actually mean? Well, a solo ager is basically anyone who's navigating their later years without that traditional, built-in support system of a partner or adult kids. It's a really broad definition, and that's on purpose.
And it is way more common than you'd probably guess. According to AARP, nearly a quarter, that's 23%, of adults over 60 are at risk of becoming solo agers. That is a huge number. So if this resonates with you, you are absolutely not alone in this.
And this really isn't one specific kind of person. I mean, look at this list. You could be single without kids, you might be divorced or widowed, you could even be married right now but know you're likely to outlive your spouse, or hey, maybe you have kids but they live on the other side of the planet, or you're just not really in touch. You see, it cuts across so many different life situations, which means pretty much any of us could find ourselves here one day.
So, why is having a plan so critical? Well, here's an interesting twist. It turns out solo agers are often better at planning because they have no choice but to face a pretty unique set of challenges head-on.
Think about it. When you know there's no automatic safety net, you naturally start asking the hard questions, right? What happens if I get sick? Who is going to make sure my bills get paid? Who's going to speak for me when I can't? And these are the big ones that come up again and again. Who's my medical advocate? Who can I trust with my money if I have cognitive decline? How do I make sure I don't become isolated? Am I going to have enough money? And underneath it all, that deep, deep fear of losing your independence. These concerns right here, they're the fuel that should drive you to make a solid plan.
And this quote right here, this shows you the alternative. This is what happens when you don't plan. You get panicked calls from people scrambling in the middle of a crisis because they have no idea what you would have wanted. And that just creates a nightmare of stress for everyone.
So here's the bottom line, and it's a big one. Having no plan is actually a choice. It's a plan to let a crisis dictate your future. And that's a plan where you have absolutely no control at all.
So, how do we avoid that crisis? How do we take back control? Well, it all starts with connection. It starts with intentionally building what we're going to call your personal village.
And I want to be clear, this is not just some fuzzy, feel-good idea. This is hard science. Just look at this. This isn't just about feeling lonely. The research shows that being socially isolated can increase your risk of dementia by a staggering 40%. Let that sink in. Your social life is literally part of your health plan.
And your village has different layers, right? There's the social layer, your friends, your neighbors, people from your book club or your weekly coffee group. Then there's the practical layer for day-to-day stuff. That could be a roommate or a volunteer from a local network. And then, and this is so important, there's your professional team. People like patient advocates and attorneys who provide that essential, formal support.
Building that village is absolutely crucial, but it's only half the story. Now we've got to talk about the legal and financial structures you need to put in place to protect all of your choices. This is the million-dollar question. If you can't speak for yourself, who has the legal authority to make sure your wishes are honored? You can't just assume a friend or a neighbor can step in. It just doesn't work that way.
Okay, these 3 roles right here are completely non-negotiable. You need to legally designate a person for each. First, a healthcare agent for your medical decisions. Second, a financial power of attorney for your money. And third, an executor to handle your will and your estate. You have to have these roles filled.
Now you might be thinking, but I don't have anyone I can ask for these roles, and that's a really common fear. But here's the good news. There is a growing industry of trusted professionals you can hire. You've got options like elder law attorneys, licensed fiduciaries, which are a big thing in states like California and Arizona, daily money managers, or patient advocates. You can literally build your team.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground, I know. But information is only powerful if you actually do something with it. So let's talk about how to get the ball rolling, not next year, not next month, but today.
And please don't let this feel overwhelming. Just start small. Here are 3 simple things you can do this week. 1. Just start a conversation. Tell one trusted person what's on your mind. 2. Assess your life. Just a quick inventory of your support, your money, your health. And 3. Organize one document. Create a file of life, a simple sheet with contacts and medical info, and stick it on your fridge. Just pick one. This is about progress, not perfection.
When you listen to the experts, when you listen to solo agers who are living their best lives, the message is crystal clear. It all comes down to this. You have to be your own advocate. You have got to take the wheel. This is about taking control and making sure your voice is heard, no matter what happens.
So, I want to leave you with this one thought. Your future isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you actively create. You are in the driver's seat. So the only real question left is, where do you want to go?